Morning everyone, we're about to start. We're just getting a couple last sign-ins. Great, I think we're good to go. So welcome ladies and gentlemen. This is the compulsory Noakes Sydney Gold Coast Yacht Race weather briefing. Saturday 26th of July, as everyone knows. I would like to just welcome everyone. Welcome the competitors, our race committee. We have Lee Goddard here, David Kellett, Mark Paviliard, and Noel Cornish in the room, and Steve Murphy from the from Southport Yacht Club. Also from the SYC we have Commodore Glenn Burrell, Vice Commodore Wade Kirby, and Adrian Bold from their marketing manager. So without further delay, we'll ask Ed to come up and give us the weather briefing from the BOM. Thank you.
Morning everyone. My name's Ed. I'm here representing the Bureau of Meteorology. I met most of you on Thursday, but we're just getting a little update for what we're going to see on the water today. So on Thursday we were talking about that cold front that's moving up the coast. It's a little bit further north than the forecast on Thursday. So it's this is the satellite image on the right showing at about 7 a.m. You can see that main shower band is past Sydney and it's tracking further north, and that was already an hour ago. But you can see that main cold front on that left image drawn at 4 a.m. there. That's the main thing that's going to be driving a lot of the weather, generally bringing some northerly winds ahead of it and some northwesterlies behind it. Looking at the chart over the next 4 days, you can see that main front is the thing that we're worried about. By 10 p.m, reaching pretty much towards the border of Queensland. And by Sunday, you can see that we're more in that westerly regime by that time. Then moving on to Monday, you can see closer to the Gold Coast, that ridge of high pressure across the top, which is going to make winds pretty weak, particularly on the overnight period during Sunday, but also similarly during Monday. There might be a few wind surges though, as various little troughs make their way up the coast. Similarly on Tuesday with that main high pressure really directly over the Gold Coast, which might make winds quite weak and variable at times, if not completely calm, which is something to watch out for. So, summary of the forecast at the moment. At the moment we have strong wind warnings pretty much all the way up the coast, from Sydney right up to the Byron. There are actually some gale warnings further south, but they're not likely to track any further north than they are right now. Sydney enclosed waters doesn't have a strong warning at the moment, so it's only once you actually get out into the open water. As mentioned, this front's forecast to get to the Queensland border early this evening / afternoon, but behind it we'll see the winds be a northerly shifting to a northwesterly, generally fresh but sometimes strong, with that strong warning being throughout Saturday and throughout Sunday as well for pretty much all of those coastal districts. On top of that, might see a few strong gusty westerlies from the Hunter to Byron coast overnight Sunday, which might give some reprieve from those really light winds that you get during that afternoon. And I'll mention the complex sea state as well, with the currents and the swell directions being all sorts of different directions at the moment, along with a pretty strong East Australia current. Right, where it starts, we're looking at the enclosed waters. We're looking at 10 to 15 knots coming from the north-northwest at the moment, increasing to 20 knots to 25 once you actually get out into the open water, with that strong wind warning currently active for the water. You saw some showers this morning, but that main rain band, as we saw on satellite, has really moved on. But that doesn't mean that isolated showers aren't possible, particularly out on the water, with increasing frequency the further offshore you do go. And then once you're out in the open water, you might also see the slight chance of some thunderstorms, 20 to 30 nautical miles offshore, particularly off the Hunter coast, with more frequency as you get further north, but they're likely to be pretty far offshore if they do form at all. And since it's so cloudy today, it might be difficult to spot them, since they might be embedded within that larger cloud band. But if it happens to be partly cloudy, you might be able to see some taller clouds popping up, which are indicative that they might be turning into thunderstorms. Wind-wise, 20 to 25 knots. This is about the strongest winds I think you're expecting to see throughout the entire race, and gusts of 30 to 40 expected throughout this early period before the winds shift. Then as we get towards the afternoon, this is when that north-northwesterly shift will come in. You can see the winds weaken pretty significantly south of Foster, just shielded by the shoreline there. And then still some strong winds along the Sydney coast if you're still down there. But yeah, once you get further north, they'll die off a bit, but with a north-northwesterly. Still probably remain cloudy at this point, and still the chance of some thunderstorms offshore, although it is clearing from the south at this time, so you might be in sunny skies by this point. Just depends on how quickly that moves to the north. Also mention of the swell, since the swell and the waves are mostly going to be wind-driven today. This is when you'll see the worst of the swell. It's not really that bad, but 2 to 3 metres significant wave heights, and just a reminder that you might see waves up to 6 metres, which is double the significant wave height possible throughout the day with 1 or 2 waves. As mentioned, most of that is just wind-driven waves, but there is a swell coming from the south, a small one coming from the south, and one from the northeast as well, all combining together, not to mention the current. And then by Saturday night, you can see that once you get further north, those strong winds are sort of remaining there, particularly as you go further offshore, particularly around that southwest rocks to Silver Rocks area. Significant wave heights remaining about the same, but dying off since the winds have died off just a little bit, coming from the north-northwest mostly. Similar weather conditions, pretty stable, partly cloudy, showers becoming more frequent the further offshore you go, with that chance of thunderstorms remaining 20 to 30 nautical miles offshore, again with increasing frequency as you get north, closer to the cold front. All right, was that the same slide? No, it wasn't. All right, moving to Sunday. Okay, so once this high pressure ridge comes through, and we're looking all the way up to Coffs now, you can see that the winds die off significantly and you go into a westerly regime. The winds probably not going to be calm by this point, but they could be as you go into the Sunday afternoon, with the winds being in that 5 to 10 knot range. If you're close to shore, maybe picking up 10 to 15 once you get further away. There is a surge of winds, as you can see, down in Sydney to the Hunter in the south. That'll push its way north as the day goes on, so you might see that surge during the Sunday overnight, as we'll get to. And because the winds have died down, or the waves also dying down too, partly cloudy, but also could be clear by this point, with just very low chance of showers during this time, with that thunderstorm risk remaining, but really mostly in the north. Similarly, Sunday afternoon, the light winds continue. You can see them picking up a little bit, but there's not much difference here compared to the morning. Those waves remaining about the same, and you go clear skies close to the Byron coast, the chance of thunderstorms remaining. And then here's that overnight wind surge that might come through in a westerly during the night. It's not super strong, but it is comparable to those kind of light winds you were seeing during that Sunday morning, with the wave heights pretty small there, and probably clear skies at this point, particularly if you're close to the border. And then on Monday morning, the winds remaining in that westerly regime, pretty much the same thing, 10 to 15 knots. Further you go offshore, of course, the wind's getting stronger. And then by Tuesday during the day, so this is kind of skipping a bit further ahead to the next kind of interesting thing that happens, you might see a shift to the north or the northwest, particularly if you're close to the Gold Coast on the Tuesday, as light winds, as another feature is moving up the coast and causes the winds to drop to the north there. But clear skies during this time. It might be partly cloudy if you're far out in the ocean, and isolated showers might be coming in on the Tuesday afternoon. And then when you arrive on the Gold Coast, depending on what day you arrive, if you're there by the Sunday afternoon, it's probably going to be clear with just some showers in the morning, but probably clear by the afternoon, sunny on Sunday, and those winds might be calm on that Monday or Tuesday night, so if you're close to the coast. Oh, and a good thing to mention is that during the overnight period, there might be some light westerlies if you're close to the shoreline from drainage flows from the mountains. Right, just quickly looking out to Wednesday and Thursday, depending on what, if you're heading back to Sydney or anything like that, there's be a coastal trough likely forming along the coast during this time, around central parts of the coast, which might bring some rain and showers to those areas, not really all the way up to the Gold Coast, but also might bring some gusty winds. As well as some showery conditions, particularly on those middle parts of the coast, the Hunter and Macquarie coasts. And similar thing for Thursday, but you can see this low pressure system building over the Tasman during this time, and it might be extending a trough right up to the coast, bringing some showery conditions to central and northern parts if you're heading back down to Sydney. And just a re-mention of the currents, we got that East Australia current, just updated the maps for today. 22, 23 degree core temperature, 1 to 2 knots coming from the north, splits from the shore around 32.5 east. And just a reminder that this is in combination with swells from the north and from the northeast and from the south. And sea surface temps, if you're close to the shore and you do faulty boats, 19 to 20 degree water close to the coast at the moment. As mentioned, nothing's really changed with the tides, but you're going out on an outgoing tide out of the harbour today. And that's pretty much everything I had. Cheers, everyone.
Thanks, Ed. Just to close, we have 61 entries starting, and we wish you all the very best of luck and great sailing and great racing. And yes, thank you and have a good one. Thank you.